Hey everybody, this is Randall Beach, creator of drummingexpert.com and author of the book Hold On to Your Sticks: Mastering the Secrets of World-Class Drumming. Now, welcome and congratulations for joining me in this video series where I'm going to share with you the 3 most powerful techniques of world-class drummers. Now, in this particular video, I'm going to talk about the first of these powerful techniques. I like to call this one the golden key that unlocks the door to the real world of drumming. Now, that's a pretty bold statement, I realize, but I really believe that because this first technique lays the foundation and sets you apart from the beginner and puts you on a path to be able to progress to higher levels of drumming. What is it? Simply, I like to call it two-height drumming. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me demonstrate just a little bit. First of all, the first thing we have to learn how to do when we start to drum is hold our sticks right, all that kind of stuff. But we've got to be able to play alternating single strokes, right, left, like this. Basic technique. We have to learn how to do that. It's very important. But we don't want to stop there. And so many drummers, that's like as far as they go. They never go beyond that. The next step to take your drumming to the next level is to learn how to play still alternating strokes, right, left, but to incorporate 2 different stick heights. A low stroke, which I call a tap stroke, and a higher stroke, which I call accent stroke. 2 different stick heights. When you combine those together, back and forth between those 2 different stick heights, it would look like this. Now, I know that's a simple concept, but I am telling you, it takes a little work, it takes some practice, and I'm going to break it down for you later in the video and show you exactly how to master those 2 strokes and connect them together. But when you learn how to do this, it opens up a whole new world for you as a drummer, and it puts you on another level. And it's shocking to me how many drummers never learn how to do this. They don't take the time, and they just spend years playing one stick height, banging around on the drums. It's all the same thing over and over and over again. You don't want to do that. You want to take things to the next level. I know for me personally, when I started drumming, very young age, I fell in love with the drums, got my first drum set, started playing. I thought I was doing okay. I even had a neighbor, an adult. I was a young teenager. He came over and recruited me to play in this band with a group of adults. And I started learning some basic beats and playing with them. It was an awesome experience. We played gigs, and I was playing gigs as a young teenager. But I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of faking it and doing the best I could. And I wanted to get better, but I didn't really know how. Well, I was very fortunate. I found my first teacher. He really knew what he was doing. He was a master drummer in every sense of the word. And he took me back to the beginning and showed me step by step how to do this stuff. And it changed my life as a drummer. And this is one of the first skills that he taught me, is this 2-height drumming concept. And I spent a lot of time practicing these taps and these accents and getting truly in control of these 2 different stick heights. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Once you can do this, you can play accent patterns. If you put both hands together and do this kind of thing, you can play accent patterns like this. Notice the low note. That's where the secret is. It's learning how to control those low notes, because so many people will try to play accent patterns and it ends up looking like this. The low notes are terrible. There's no control there. It takes some practice to get control of those, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I want to jump back over to the drum set and just demonstrate a couple of examples of how this 2-height drumming concept would apply on the drum set, so you can have a clear vision of in your mind as to where we're going with this and how it can affect you as a drummer. So let's do that. So let me demonstrate just a simple rock beat and have you get a vision of how this can change your drumming. If I play a simple rock beat, 8 notes on the hi-hat, it would sound like this. All right, now notice that the hi-hat was just all one height. Every stroke's the same. Now, you might choose to do that in a certain situation. I'm not saying you never would play it that way, but you don't want to be limited to that. You want to have more flexibility. And one simple way to illustrate this two-height drumming concept is on the hi-hat. Often this is called tip shank, where you play with the shank of the stick and the tip, but it'd sound like this. Notice accent, tap, accent, tap. The exchange between accent and the low unaccented notes is very important. Now, if I add that to the rock beat I played a moment ago, it changes the sound dramatically. It's a very different sound. It's just more sophisticated and professional sounding. It opens up the beat a little bit, and this just doesn't have that constant chunk, 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 chunk from the hi-hat. That's one example of two-height drumming. Now, I was trying to think of another one, and I thought of the classic big band jazz swing tune called Sing, Sing, Sing. There was a famous big band leader by the name of Benny Goodman back in the 1940s, and his drummer's name was Gene Krupa. Now, if you're not a jazz fan, you're not familiar with this kind of music, you should check it out, because Gene Krupa is one of the all-time drumming legends. You know, he was a big star back in the 1940s. And this tune is very cool because it's all built around Gene Krupa's drumming, and it starts out with this drum solo that's like this swing jungle beat. But it is a great illustration of two stick heights being required to make the music sound right. I'm going to play a little bit of it, and you can notice my hands on the floor tom. That's two-height drumming. The floor tom part, low notes and high notes. Now, if I don't have the chops or the technique in my hands to play those two different heights, I just can't even attempt that. I can't even do it. I have to be able to have that skill. Now, you can also apply this concept of accents and taps and all kinds of different styles of drumming around the kit, and it just opens up a whole new world of drumming for you. So now I'm going to leave the kit. I'm going to go over to a snare drum, and I want you to get your sticks, your pad, or the snare drum from your drum set or whatever you've got. We're just going to work on our hands, and I'm going to show you how to develop this skill of taps and accents. Here we go. Okay, now we're ready to actually break down the tap accent motion so we can master this two-height drumming. I've talked about it, demonstrated it. Hopefully you have a clear picture in your mind, but I just want to play a few more accent patterns so you can see. I'm using this rudimental snare drum, I'm using some full-size rudimental sticks, and I might add that when you work on a pad to develop your hands and develop your technique, I would recommend that you use a pair of sticks that's a little bit bigger than maybe your typical drum set stick. Maybe like a 2B or even a full-size rudimental stick is great, because a little bit bigger stick in your hand, it often makes it easier to develop control over these types of figures and rudiments and exercises. But let me play a few accent patterns, and I just want you to notice these two different stick heights, the low notes and the high accent strokes. Okay, so there's some accent patterns. You see those two different strokes. Now, developing the control to be able to keep those low notes down and all the same, and to be able to play those accents so that they're consistent and strong and they flow within the pulse and the groove of the music, takes some practice. So I'm going to break these two strokes down. There's just two, and if you do them right, you're in the game. First one, I like to call float stroke. It's the accent motion, the high stroke. And the reason I call it float stroke is because the float motion is very descriptive of this stroke. For instance, I'm just going to do one float stroke, the accent motion. Now I want you to notice that my stick floats up and continues to accelerate throughout the entire stroke and it speeds up all the way back into the drum head. That's where the velocity and the accent come from. It goes up smoothly, accelerates down. Then the next thing that's so important is it stops back low. Now, I like to call this starting position rest position. And this is where all drumming starts from. And we go up from here, back down, and we stop here. Another thing that's important is that you don't do this. A lot of drummers will play their accents like that. And considering the fact that if you're playing too high drumming, you're going to have to stop the stick low. Letting go, just so you have to grab back a hold again, is a complete waste of energy and time. You give up control, and then you have to gain it back again. So this is where you keep your hand on the stick, and you use a wrist motion. I'll demonstrate again. Now, do this along with me. We'll just do a few of these. Every 4 counts, we'll play one. I want you to look back and forth between your stick and my stick, and just make sure that, try to make your floating motion match mine. This is a very natural way to lift the stick and bring it back down. And I might add here that in all different moments in drumming, when it comes time to move your stick for the first time, this float stroke style is the best way to do it. Watch any great drummer. When they start the initial motion of their stick, there's this kind of smooth, fluid, floating action, and then things engage with acceleration. It's just the best way to move your stick. So let's do it together. Every 4 counts. Start in rest position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and smooth. Hold on to your stick. Stop it low. Nice and relaxed. Let the speed of the stick give you the power and the velocity and the accent. Okay. Now, you just got to practice that a while. Not because you don't understand, because that's easy to understand. The reason it needs to be practiced over and over again is to just make it a natural, automatic, habitual part of your drumming. So that it's the way you move your sticks. It becomes a part of you. Very important. Let's do a few on the left hand. If you're playing matched grip's same as the right hand. Traditional grip. I can throw in here also that I'm not going to go all through grip and hand position and all that stuff here in this video. But you found my drum site, my website, drummingexpert.com. You'll see all kinds of free lessons on there, and there are some videos and really great information about stick, hand position, instrument position, how to get things all in the right setup so that you're moving your hands properly. So I would recommend checking those out. I'm going to play traditional grip right now. I really like playing traditional grip. So let's do left hand float stroke. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and relaxed motion. Float up, accelerate down. Hold on to that stick. Stop it low. Sometimes people will ask me, well, when are you supposed to move your stick? Well, whenever is required to get that smooth floating motion, because that motion should be a natural part of the way you move your stick. It doesn't have anything to do with the tempo. I would do the exact same stroke if the tempo was very slow or very fast. It's just the best way to initiate motion. All right, so practice that. That's the first step. That's float stroke. That's how we play the accent. Next stroke is called tap stroke. Sometimes people call these ghost strokes. It's the low, unaccented notes. We start in rest position, and there's a few rules for these strokes that give you the control to make it the way it needs to be. The first rule is that you do not lift upward. You only drop the stroke down, then it comes right back where it started. This is rest position. This should be 2.5 to 3 inches above the drum head. And you just drop it like this, down, up. You hold on to the stick, nice relaxed grip, but you just drop your wrist. Down, up. It goes down, up, ready, and down, up, 3, 4, down, up, 3, 4, down, up. Now that's not hard to do, or that's not hard to understand, but surprisingly, for some people, it can be kind of hard to do at first. You have to go slow, you have to think about it, and you have to do it over and over again. And again, make this a habit. Do it together with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up. Hold it there. Drop. Pull it right back up. And down, up. 2, 3, 4. Down, up. 3, 4. Down, up. 2, 3, 4. Down, up. 3, 4. Down, up. Now, let me mention a couple things just that will help you, I believe. One, you're not trying to hit the drum hard. You're just letting the weight of the stick in the hand fall and hit the drum. But it's also not wimpy. You want some support behind the sound. Engage the stick into the head and make it, give it some substance and some support. But again, don't lift. Sometimes here are common mistakes. One common mistake is this. Oh, you didn't bring it back up. Leaving it down there. Lift it back up. Start and stop right here. And then the other most common mistake I already mentioned, which is to lift it before you go. You don't want to lift it up like that. Just drop it and bring it up there. Now, I like to tell my students that you should do 1,000 tap strokes on every hand. And that really wouldn't take very long, maybe over several days of 10 minutes or so. Each day you do tap strokes. And you just do it over and over and over again. And it becomes a part of the way you move your stick. So, accent stroke, use that float motion, and the tap stroke. Practice those separately. Next step, we need to put these two motions together so that they flow back and forth between each other in just this effortless, seamless, smooth way. That's very important. So, there are 4 steps. I'm going to put these up on the screen so you can see these 4 different steps. We've got the first step is we just did it. It's tap stroke. Down, up. And I want you to notice lowercase letters represent low strokes, the tap height motions, and uppercase letters represent full accent height motion. So the first step is the tap stroke. Down, up. We just did that. Now, if we want to connect that tap stroke together with an accent stroke, we're going to do this. We're going to go down, up. We're going to drop for the tap stroke, and then instead of stopping here, we're going to immediately float all the way up to the accent height. So it looks like this. Down, up. Ready, go. Down, up. Ready, and down, up. Ready, and down, up. Now I move the stick quickly, but it has the smooth floating. It's the first half of the float stroke, so it's got to be smooth. It's not this. Snap. That's not the way you lift your stick when you play normally, so we don't want to do that when we practice. Down, up. Let's try that again. Ready, go. Down, up. Ready, and down, up. We're connecting the 2 different stick heights together. Next step, the third step, we're going to finish the accent stroke with a big down. So it goes like this. Down, up, down. Down, up, down. Ready, go. Down, up, down. 4, down, up, down. 3, 4, down, up, down. 4, down, up, down. Now, of the 4 steps, I think this is the one you should probably spend the most time on. And focus on not lifting. Drop it. Smooth. Instantly it floats up. It accelerates down and stops back in rest position. If you get all those components right, you are practicing all the essential elements of putting these 2 stick heights together in a perfect way. So do this one a lot. It's very important. Let's do it a few more times. 2, ready, go. Down, up, down. 3, 4. 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 4. Down, up, down. 3, 4. Down, up, down. Make sense? Okay, let's do a few on the left hand. 1, 2, ready, go. Down, up, down. 4, down, up, down. 3, 4, down, up, down. 3, 4, down, up, down. Get the idea? All right, now, I hope you can see why you have to practice things at this level. You just can't pick up your sticks and go, oh, yeah, man, I got it, because a lot of drummers do that, and their taps are usually all out of control. They really can't stop the stick low and drop the taps in to get this really sweet sounding texture of these 2 different stick heights. And I'm telling you, the magic is in those taps, man. You got to be able to play those smooth and perfect every single time. So please practice that. Now, the fourth step tests your control just a little bit further, and that is after we finish the down, up, down, and we stop the stick low, now we're going to do another tap, down, up. So we have down, up, down, down, up. Let's put that all together. Ready? Go. Down, up, down, down, up. Down, up, stop, drop. Down, up, down, down, up. Down, up, down, down, up. Now, I'll tell you right now, the most common mistake in that is after the accent, in anticipation of playing a tap, people lift their stick like this. No lift. 2 downs in a row. Notice. Down, down, up, down, down, up. 2 downs in a row. Let's try it again. Ready? Go. Down, up, down, down, up. Down, up, down, down, up. Down, up, down, down, up. That moment in time where the stick stops and drops is the key, because that's where people lose control over their taps. So work on that. Watch yourself. Videotape yourself. Get in front of a mirror. Get a friend to watch you. Something. Check yourself and be honest. Are you keeping those taps where they're supposed to be? Because that's going to give you incredible control over taps and accents. Okay, now the next step is just to simply continue the process playing series of taps and series of accents. So I'm going to put a very simple exercise up here on the board, here on my screen next to me, and you will, I'm just going to play through this, and I want you to notice it's just a simple combination of 8 notes, play an accent. For 8 notes, we just play taps, and then every 4 notes we play an accent, then every 3, then every 2, then every 1. And 8, 4, 3, 2. That's all it is. And I want you to notice the accents and the taps based on what we just went through. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on the left. Make sense? Now, I'm sure you could follow along with that on the screen. I played that very slow because I wanted you to see the contrast between the heights, the motion of the float stroke, and how the stick stops and drops. Start very, very slow and work those 2 different stick heights. Do it exactly right. Stay relaxed. Keep your skin on the stick. Hold on to the stick, but keep your grip relaxed. No death grip. Smooth, fluid motions. And then gradually start to speed it up. Now, the final step in this process, as you can imagine, is to put the hands together and be able to play accent patterns that use both hands, like I demonstrated a moment ago as we started this little section here. So one thing that's really good to begin with is to practice playing taps, just like 16th note tap strokes. I want you to notice that my sticks are all the same height, that I'm doing that dropping tap motion, the rhythm's nice and even, consistent sound. Just work on that. That takes some practice. But then ultimately you're going to want to add the accents in. Now, I'm going to put an exercise up here on the screen that is, it's just a simple accent pattern exercise that I like to start with. It's a really good way to start developing your hands. And if I had to point out the single most common mistake when you put your hands together is to lift notes that are supposed to be taps. For instance, when the right hand, just to start the exercise, look at the first 2 notes. Here comes the first accent stroke, and this left hand wants to go up. And it doesn't go up. It only goes down. It should look like this. And so many people do this and lift it up. That's death. Doesn't work. So you got to keep those taps down. Okay, now let's go a little bit faster. I'm just going to play the exercise. You can follow along or try this with me. I'll keep it, medium tempo. And let's see, about 1E and a 2E and a ready? And... That's the exercise. Now, I want you to notice that if you were to just kind of block out one hand and just stare at my right hand, for instance, you would see that my right hand is doing combinations of taps and accents, things like that. The first exercise we went through, that's all that's required. But when you put your hands together, you have to keep doing those motions correctly. And oftentimes, it's just putting it all together. The taps are usually what get messed up and they don't stay down. And so you got to go slow and you have to get it exactly right. It's not hard to understand, but it takes a little time to master. And once you have it, like I said, baby, it's awesome. Okay? And you can play all kinds of incredible things. So that's the story on taps and accents. Now, work hard at this. I want you to know I've been through this. I remember the day when I couldn't play these at all. And I had to go very, very slow. I remember the day my teacher taught me tap stroke. And I had to do this forever, over and over and over again. And then I worked on just exactly what I've shown you. I've been through it. I've taken hundreds and hundreds of students through this process and watched them go from not being able to do it all to being very, very good at it. And it's a lot of fun. You can do this. So hang in there and keep working at it. Your dedication and desire to be a drummer is a really awesome thing. So stay with it and keep going. Now, in the next lesson, I'm going to go on to the second powerful technique of world-class drummers, and it has to do with rolls and being able to play a full speed, all-out, powerful double stroke roll. That's the next thing we're going to learn how to do. And there's a lot of great stuff that goes into that. Now remember, I want you to remember, music is the language of the human spirit, and drumming is the heartbeat of that language. And that's what we're all about. Good luck. See you next time.